Welcome to the Books and Martinis podcast.
I'm Priya.
And I'm Mercy.
And this is your go-to book podcast,
where we lift, empower, and spotlight authors.
Grab your martini and follow along.
And don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to our podcast. I'm Priya.
I'm Mercy. Hi, everybody. And welcome, Jasmine. How are
Jasmine.
you?
Cheers.
Cheers.
Welcome.
Yes.
Salud. You guys, we have an amazing author with us today, Jasmine Walt. She is a fantasy author, and she actually came to us through Elysium. So it's a group on Bookstagram that connected us both, and I'm super excited we get to do this. We're doing pop-ups before, but we're like, oh, we need to have Jasmine on. Like a full in-person interview. And you're actually in Mexico City right now. So, hey.
Yes.
So welcome. Okay, we're going to kick it off with a little bit of a bio about Jasmine. So Jasmine Walt is a New York Times, USA Today, and Wall Street Journal best-selling author. She's obsessed with books, chocolate, love chocolate, and sharp, pointy objects. Wait,
I read that.
Sword fight?
No, I don't sword fight, but there was a time when I was really into knives and weapons and stuff in general. I'm not so big on that anymore, but it's still a part of me, I would say.
Okay.
Oh, I love it. I love
that.
it.
It's so different.
Somehow, those three things melded together in her head and transformed into a desire to write. Yes, and we see in her books. Usually fantastical stuff with a healthy dose of action and romance. Her characters are a lot on the snarky side, and they swear, but they mean well. Even the villains sometimes. She's also written some very 18+ stuff under the name Jada Storm, and some safer for your grandma to read stuff under Jessica Drake. So I love that. You got two pen names.
I do, but it's funny because I guess I haven't updated my website. I've consolidated everything. So those two pens are no longer there. Everything is under Jasmine Walt now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Much simpler.
Good to know.
Sorry,
Good to know.
That's not true. But I do have other stuff. Yes.
So for our listeners and our viewers, so if you go to her website, that's been updated. But that's amazing, though. And you have, how many books do you have in your portfolio?
I think it's 37 now.
Wow. Congratulations. That's amazing.
Fantastic.
That's amazing.
That is fantastic. And today we're going to be really focusing specifically on your Dragons and Fae trilogy, which you were so kind and sweet to send us. The first one of it, it's of Dragons and Fae, Promised in Fire. And I just want to show those that are watching the podcast how beautifully illustrated
Look at these
the book
chapter
is.
pages.
Mm-hmm.
These are gorgeous.
The book is beautiful.
And you know that mentally helped me to read it. My book is kind of like bent up and stuff because I've been devouring it. But just having the chapters with a different color, like I knew what to expect. It was like a mental thing for me while I was reading it. So that was beautiful.
Yeah, easy to follow. It's gorgeous. And then there's Forged in Frost and Caged in Shadow, which are all like incredible. So this is the first of the trilogy. Thank you for sharing it with us. We were really excited to receive it from you and really excited to hear about you and everything that's brought you to where you are today. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. So, I mean, basically, I'm born and raised in the US, about 35 years old. I grew up in New York. I was raised by immigrant parents, one from Pakistan, one from Trinidad, and then I had a stepmother who was Dutch. So I'm from a very
wow, what a mix.
from a very multicultural household. And my mother always loved reading. She was super into like the Harlequin, like Mills and Boon romance.
Yeah.
And she taught me to read from a very, very, very young age, like I think as young as 3 or 4. And I got my love of reading from her, but like I read so widely as a kid, but as I got older, like I got really into fantasy. I felt like, as a neurodivergent girl, brown girl growing up in a very white Italian, like Irish neighborhood, I felt like I didn't always fit in or belong, and like fantasy, I really connected with fantasy novels as a way to kind of escape and be somewhere different and with characters who felt more like me. But I also inherited my love of romance novels from my mother because she had so
Mm.
many of them, and I would sneak them and I would read them when I was 12 or whatever, when I shouldn't have been.
Did she
Um,
know? Did she figure it out that you were reading
she
them
knew
eventually?
eventually, and she was just kind of like, eh, I mean, she shouldn't be, but I guess it's fine.
She
Like,
read them
But look at you
already.
now.
read them already. She knew what was in them. So I don't know why she let me get away with that, but she did. And so as a fantasy writer now, like those are the two things that I really enjoy is fantasy and romance.
In romance. Oh,
Love it.
and you
Love it.
tie it beautifully.
Yes.
Tie it really
So
beautifully.
tell us about your book, Promise and Fire, and what inspired you to write it.
Um, I get my ideas from a lot of different things. It's not like there's like one thing. It's like I think I was reading J.R. Ward like years and years ago, and there's a conflict in one of her series between like dragon. They have a dragon shifter race, and then they also have Fae. And I was thinking, I haven't seen a lot of that in fantasy romance. And then I was watching Game of Thrones years ago, and there's this scene where Joffrey like gets poisoned at his wedding feast and he dies. And I just had this thought, like, what if it was a dragon and a fae, and the Dragon King gets assassinated at his own wedding? And that obviously that couldn't be the romance, but it was the backstory for Adara's parents.
Mhm.
And that sort of like sparked the idea. And then I thought, well, what if I had like a sort of not Romeo and Juliet, but some kind of enemies to lovers thing with dragons and fae? And then I also had recently played like Breath of the Wild from Zelda, and I'd watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, so I was really into all like the elemental magic. So all those things just kind of get thrown into the pot, and then I come up with something.
And it was beautifully written. So all those elements right there. I'm not giving up the goat. No spoilers here. But just fresh off of just finishing your book and just all the pieces of it, it was just beautifully woven in together, even the elemental part
Oh,
towards like
yes.
the middle and the ending of the book. It was so unexpected and I loved it. I love that whole
Yeah.
aspect of it.
And I know that you have so many books, but on this specific one, just to have an idea, how long would you say it took you to craft this particular story? And then tell us how long the whole trilogy took for you to craft.
About a year to do that book because it did take me a while to really think through it and come up with the world and figure out the characters and the story that I wanted to tell. And then it takes, however many 3, 4 months to draft it and then the
Right.
time to edit it and all of that. So probably a year and a half for the whole thing. But then I released like the next book the year after, and the next book the year after. So everything came out within a 4 year period, more or less.
Wow.
Okay. And you found that worked best?
Yeah, I
As,
mean, at least for this series, I actually used to write faster. I used to write 4 to 6 titles a year, but then I
oh,
burned
wow.
out and took a break and came back. And these books are also bigger and more complicated than the books that I used to write. So they take longer naturally.
Right.
And
Right. Are you
what was
working on a new, sorry, go
it's
ahead,
okay.
Priya.
Go ahead. Go.
I was just wondering if she's working on a new project.
Yeah, so in 2023, I released the first book in a new series. It's like a vampire witch romantasy. The first book is called The Vampire's Bargain.
Oh,
Ooh.
I'm working on the sequel now, but I'm also rewriting the first book a little bit. I'm adding some additional POVs, so it's going to be an expanded edition. And so when
Oh.
I release book two later this year, I'll also be releasing the expanded edition of book one.
wow. So do you enjoy multiple points of view? Because I that in Promised and Fire, that was also unexpected. I was like, oh, now we get a point of view of the king and and other characters in here.
I just feel like I didn't used to do multiple points of view. My first series was one POV only. And then I wrote a reverse harem with dragon shifters, and I was like, well, it can't be one point of view because there's the guys, and you have to see their point of view too.
Right.
Kind of got, I just feel like it's so much easier to foreshadow and set up conflicts when you can see things from points of view from other characters. So I do enjoy that more than I used to.
Yeah. And it's better for the story too. You get different perspectives. It's
Yeah,
perfect.
I mean there are challenges that come with both. Like there are challenges that come with writing one point of view because the reader only gets very limited information from only that character's perspective, and that helps create more mystery, which is nice. But when you're doing a more complicated, expansive world, I feel like it's more useful to have multiple points of view.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. It helps the reader too to kind of follow a bigger, broader view.
Some
So I
readers
do.
complain. I have reviews of readers who are like, I can't read this book. I hate jumping around between characters. I just want to follow the main characters. Why do I have to know what Leap is doing? Because in the first book, it's mostly Adara and Einar, but in the second and third books, you also get Madeline and Leap's points of view because the
Yeah.
characters diverge.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
I love having Leap's point of view and just like the whole thing about him in the clouds and just having that Avatar airbender feel to it. So
Totally.
even you saying that, I'm like, oh, that totally makes sense. That's where he came from,
Yeah, he's a little bit of Aang and he's a little bit of Goku from Dragon Ball.
Oh, I
So
love that. That's amazing. So with that said, who is your favorite character?
I really do feel like it's Leap. Like he's just fun and kind of sassy and doesn't t and he provides a little bit of comic relief, but he also has his own story and he's a deeper character. And I enjoyed like actually writing a young adult character into a more adult fantasy novel and still having him be relevant and important to the arc.
Mhm.
So, to those that are listening that want to write and be as successful as you, what can you tell them? What can you share with them to all the writers out there and all the authors to be?
Uh, that's a good question. There are lots of things that I could share. I think the most important thing is to know what your audience, to find the overlap between what you enjoy writing and what your audience wants, because I feel like there's a way to do both. And there are breakout like writers who invent a totally new niche and whatever, and the reason that they succeed is because they still manage to find things within their new thing that appeal to a more mainstream audience, and so they're able to therefore get the word out enough that they can reach the people who like the same niche that they like, even if that niche didn't exist before. So it's just like ultimately, when I am writing a story, I'm trying to create an experience for the reader because they have certain things that they like and they want. And there are things that I like and I want. And I think that the biggest thing that determines whether a book is going to be successful is whether you are satisfying those expectations.
A
So the
great point of view.
experience, yeah, the experience angle. So we don't hear that very much from authors, but it kind of reminds you, like if you're a speaker standing in front of a crowd, usually the first rule of thumb is that when you're speaking, you're speaking for the audience. You're not
Right.
speaking for yourself because the minute you start thinking about yourself, you mess up,
Yeah.
right? So
You
you
lose
create,
the, yeah,
yeah.
you
Because you're
lose the
trying
So
to
masses.
you're trying to connect, like with speaking, you're trying to connect with the audience. And with writing, I feel like it's the same thing.
mhm.
Maybe, yeah, it's your story and it's very solitary and you're by yourself and there isn't an audience in front of you, but it's meant to be delivered to an audience and you have to keep them in mind, which is why you don't
Absolutely.
romance novel
Absolutely.
and then kill the hero at the end. Like
Yeah.
How dare you?
Yeah.
Wait, is that gonna happen?
No, no
No, don't take
spoilers. No
Adara.
spoilers. No
No
spoilers.
spoilers.
So I wanted to ask you, what about you do you want our listeners to know the most? What is it that you want to share with the
That they don't know
listeners?
about.
You don't know about.
As you as an
Mm-hmm.
author or a person.
Hmm.
Well, I suppose it depends on whether they've ever heard of me before.
Okay.
Whether
So how about we talk to both? Those that have not heard, why should they hear about you? And those that know you, what else should they know about you?
Well, if you don't know anything about me, I think the big thing that you should know is that I've been a nomad for the last couple of years, and I don't live in the United States at the moment. Like I've chosen to relocate to another city, so I'm very like adventurous, on the go, and if you're wondering how to connect with me, I do occasionally come to signings, but I'm not a big, like, always on social media, always at events kind of person, just because I like to spend a lot of my life, like, in the real world,
Traveling,
seeing
right?
as
And
much as
traveling.
I can before I die, basically.
Yeah. I love
Yeah.
that. I love that you're present in whatever you're doing.
Yes. Yeah.
It's
That's
a
a great way
beautiful
of
thing.
describing it. Very present. But you have an event coming up in June, don't you? I believe
I
there's an event.
also have an event this month. I committed
Oh,
this year to doing more events because even though I'm in Mexico, it's still close enough to the US that I can.
Right.
Whereas before I was like in Europe and Asia and I like really couldn't do anything. So this month I'll be at Fay Ball in Kansas City. I
woo.
do that event is on the 29th.
Hmm.
And then in June I'll be at Imaginarium in DC. I think that's June 5 and 6. So yeah.
Yes. Yep.
More
Yes, we were talking about that event, Priya. We were just talking about that event.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. Prior to
excellent.
coming on with you. And that's
And those,
amazing.
how about those that don't know you? What should they know about you? I'm sorry, you already told us to those that don't know you. Tell us about the ones that do know you. What else can you share with them? Those that are fans of your books already.
Yeah, okay. So what else do they not know about me? Because I feel like if you're a fan of me, you know that I love to travel, you know that I practice Brazilian jiu-jitsu, you know that um
You love chocolate.
And
well,
sharp, pointy things.
maybe not remember that about me. Um I recently did an interview when I was at Romantasy BookCon, and they did like a we listen and we don't judge thing. And I don't think I've shared that answer with readers before, but I'll say it now that I have commitment issues when it comes to, as a reader, not a writer, when it comes to finishing series.
Really?
I get scared about the ending because
Mm.
I don't want the series to end, and B, I don't want to be disappointed. So I will sometimes go like years before I will like read the last book or watch the last episode of something.
Really?
Wow.
I'm
Well,
that.
that's great for you to know, right? So it's something you can share with your readers as a writer.
You know what was funny was that they posted the interview on Instagram. So they posted like several snippets and different reels. And
Mhm.
there were so many comments from readers who were like, Jasmine is my people. Because I didn't think, I thought people were going to think this was weird, but there were so many people who were like, I'm exactly the same way. I
Yeah.
totally get
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. And that is, I've done that a couple times. Like, I don't want to, I'm going to put this down right now. I want to
Yeah,
finish it
exactly.
because you know what's coming. You know what's coming. You can feel it in your
Yeah.
bones.
Yeah.
Um, so, how can our readers and listeners and viewers reach you?
Well, you can always ping me on Instagram, although, you might have to
Wait a
like
little.
yeah, or also like sometimes things go into requests, like if I'm not following you. So there's always
Right.
but always at the comments. There's always um my email, which is jasmine@jasminewalt.com. Like those are really email is probably the best way to reach me if like you really need something.
Mhm.
Um yeah. Or like I
Okay.
said, I'm gonna be at 2 signings this year. So
And where
those are
can
awesome.
they get your books? Can they get your books on barnesandnobles.com, on your website?
So you should be able to order anything in paperback from Barnes and Noble. But Kindle, ebook is only Amazon. My audiobooks are available on Audible and I think also Spotify, iTunes, etc. And pretty much everything except my newest series is in audio. So if you prefer to listen, that's definitely an option.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, that's fantastic.
thank you so much for being our guest today.
Of course.
And
Let's
for
do-
and for the book, we appreciate it. We love
Yes.
it. And
Yes,
we'll keep sharing it
five
with.
martinis here.
Yes,
I love
absolutely.
fantasy.
Absolutely.
I love all the characters and the world building, and it was just so beautifully written. So congratulations on your
And the cover
career.
is gorgeous too.
Yes,
Those
the
two
cover is
roses with the
beautiful.
dragon.
So cheers to you.
Yes.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you for being our
To
guest. For everybody
endless
listening.
success.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Endless success. Salud.
Thank you. Likewise to you too.
Yep.
Thank you.
For everybody listening and watching, like, share, follow, subscribe, check out Jasmine Walt, and we'll see you next
Absolutely.
episode.
We'll see you the next one. Bye, guys.